all the Trump cases are getting thrown out because he's the God King now.
Breaking news about President-elect Donald Trump. The Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith just filed a motion to dismiss the federal criminal case against the president-elect over his efforts to overturn the 2020 election results.
Lester, Special Counsel Jack Smith and his team have filed a sparse but historic document here asking Judge Tanya Chutkan to dismiss this case. And the grounds they gave is essentially that the Justice Department has always held historically that a sitting president can't be prosecuted or indicted, and that principle applies here. Let me just read a little bit from what...
Now they won't even let Trump fire them. They're surrendering, and Trump takes a victory lap without suffering a bad news cycle. Yeah. And also, it literally confirms everything Trump has been saying. Like, there has never been a better moment to be a Trump supporter than this moment. Every single thing that he said about, like, these loser, cowardly Dems are coming after me, doing lawfare, you're basically admitting you don't have any interest in preserving the institutions or the rule of law if you're going to be like, well, I guess we can't do anything because you're the president now. That's it. Complete, utter, humiliating defeat for all of these institution defenders, these lovers of institutions. Once again, the damage that this will do, the damage that this will personally do, if the Democrats actually did care about preserving the integrity of these institutions, the damage that this act does to the validity and the legitimacy of those institutions are insurmountable. It's completely just throw it away. It's like Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski going down the Mar-a-Lago to kiss Trump's ring after 8 years of calling him a fascist. Then you didn't believe it at all. You didn't believe that he was a fascist at all. You were just lying. It's like when Democrats turn around and say, like, yeah, you know what? Immigrants are actually bad. We got to do the border ourselves after calling Republicans racist for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Okay, I guess you admit it then. You're just a liar. You don't give a shit. In light of this, what are your opinions on leftists voting third party this year and letting this guy do this damage? I understand why some leftists, but this is a bad precedent for Trump to set. If you think this is the fault of like random people who voted third party, who Kamala Harris lost by such wide margins that like their votes were inconsequential regardless, you are stupid, okay? There is no better way to put it. You are watching Democrats in key positions right now taking a knee and genuflecting to this fascist piece of shit. And you're still like, you know who's at fault here? Random third-party voters, actually, who, if they all voted for the Democrats, would have still not allowed the Democratic Party to win. You cannot outflank the Democratic Party. You cannot make the assertion that these people are automatically in the tank for the Democratic Party, but are silly and selfish, and that's why they're not voting for the Democrats. This is an idiotic way to campaign, okay? That's not how this works. And what's happening right now is far, far, far more consequential. People need to cut this shit out, okay? Stop. Do you work for the DNC? Do you have pay stubs to show for it? Why are you defending their inadequacy for free on an independent outlet such as myself? Okay, you're coming to a community of leftists to be like, I am going to defend the $700,000 salary winning idiotic analysts and campaign staffers that literally openly consulted the Democratic Party to lose. I'm going to defend them and their integrity. It's like these guys are getting paid six figures. They melted $1 billion. They were $30 million in debt by the end of this campaign, and they lost. It's so dumb. Stop being a mark, okay? Please, I beg of you. Stop being a sucker. Stop being a sucker for those who are in positions of power within the Democratic Party. You are literally doing their bidding. You are refusing to recognize the truth, and you are allowing the Democrats to continue building this narrative that it was actually some random leftist that caused the Democrats to lose again. These people are defending the DNC when Trump has not even gotten into power because they are worried of any transformation to the Democratic Party or growing efforts to leave the party as a whole. I really want to see what Bernie and his organizations are going to do soon. They're planning something. We'll see.
The department and the country have never faced the circumstance here where a federal indictment against a private citizen has been returned by a grand jury and a criminal prosecution is already underway when the defendant is elected president. Confronted with this unprecedented situation, the special counsel's office consulted with the department's Office of Legal Counsel. That's the group inside the DOJ that decides constitutional legal positions. And then they said that after careful consideration, the Justice Department has determined that the OLC's prior opinions concerning the Constitution's prohibition on federal indictment and prosecution of a sitting president apply to this situation, Lester. So, look, this indictment, this involves the three conspiracies Donald Trump is accused of in an effort to cling to power after the 2020 election. And it marked an extraordinary moment in American history. This is the first ever accusation that a sitting president committed crimes in an effort to cling to power. The dismissal also marks an extraordinary moment. 50 years after Richard Nixon was forced by lawmakers from both parties to resign the presidency amid allegations of criminal conduct, half of American voters discounted equally serious charges of criminal misconduct in office against Donald Trump. They returned Mr. Trump to the presidency. And if the lesson of Watergate was that no one was above the law, the lesson of the Trump era is that a majority of Americans have decided that this principle no longer applies. And what I can tell you, Lester, is that we also expect a filing in the other case, which has been dismissed by the judge, that classified documents case against Mr. Trump, which is on appeal. We expect a filing there, although it's not clear exactly what that filing will say, because there are two other defendants in that case. And Jack Smith, the special counsel, is required to file a report to the Attorney General before he leaves office explaining his prosecution decisions.
Wouldn't it be wrong to try and jail and pull to court an upcoming president, though, because it internally weakens the country? Some things are more important than partisan fighting. Brother, you either think Trump is a threat to American democracy and is a die-in-the-wool fascist, or you just lied about it for years. I personally think he is, okay? I think he does spell great trouble for American democracy and the future of America in general, and he is a straightforward, ultra-nationalist fascist at this point, okay? Doesn't matter if he's like personally invested in some ideological variant of Nazi ideology. What matters is his output. What matters is what he is doing, okay? He violated the rules regardless. Why the would you cast that aside? Excuse me, we need to make sure that Germany is united. And that's precisely the reason why we should offer Hitler the chancellor position, because ultimately, you know, it's better to have a united Germany. Yeah, see how well that worked. He might be, but he's still the leader. Weakening him weakens the country. Yes, dude, you're a dumbass. Okay. Weakening him weakens the country. We need to Sig Heil alongside Donald Trump. Liberals and their endless defense of the status quo is precisely the reason why they will always show their bellies. Okay. They will always allow fascism to thrive. That's it. It's the same principle. Never question power. And also, it's the same like vague gesture towards like bipartisanship. You know what I mean? You don't understand. We must obey. We must obey no matter how far he goes. We have to obey, because God forbid America gets weakened. I mean, what are you talking about? Yeah. Good luck. Good luck to you, charitable chinchilla, as Donald Trump sets up utilizing the military to mass deport 20 million people. This is part of the reason why I'm telling you, I have said time and time again that things are different this time around. Things are different because liberals are not even doing the 2016 #resistance.
To politics now, in the new Trump cabinet ready for confirmation. The president-elect announced a series of top administration picks just over the weekend, including hedge fund manager Scott Bessent to be Treasury Secretary and Congresswoman Lori Chavez DeRemer as Labor Secretary. Trump needed less than 3 weeks to pick his cabinet, but some of his more controversial picks may have trouble getting approved by the Senate. Nicole Killian is in West Palm Beach for us, covering the transition as she has been for days now. Nicole, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, Tony. Now that President-elect Trump has made most of his key picks, there are new calls for them to get FBI background checks. But overall, the public is giving him positive marks.
As President-elect Donald Trump put the finishing touches on his cabinet choices this weekend, a new CBS News poll finds 59% of Americans approve of how he's handling the transition.
We're going to have hearings early so we can get his team in place when he takes the oath of office on January 20th.
The poll also shows many of Trump's designees have more support than opposition. That includes some of his more controversial picks, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Health and Human Services, Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence.
There's a major disconnect with reality in this country. I can't. Everything is bad and only slated to get worse. Do you understand? Like, everything is bad and it's only going to get worse. And there is, I feel like there are not enough people that are actively speaking out against how insane things are getting. And only until people are staring down the actual ever-present danger of Trump's fascist, white nativist, anti-immigrant policies and how devastating that is for the lives of millions of Americans will they turn around and go, oh man, we f***ed up. And at that point, it'll be far too late, okay?
Pat Levin is 95 years young, fit and feisty.
Trying to keep up with you, Pat.
She's off to the races.
A lifelong Democrat, scared and stunned, Donald Trump will be president in her twilight.
I want to fight, I think. I don't want to fight, but I think I have to, because I think there's no such thing as staying neutral. I think once you stay neutral, it's the oppressor who wins and the oppressed who suffer.
You used the term oppressor. I assume when Richard Nixon won or Ronald Reagan won or either the George Bushes won, even though you're a Democrat, I'm guessing you didn't use that term.
Never, never.
But what does that tell you about how you feel and what you see?
Well, I see a man who is not, or a regime now, who is not paying much attention to our history and to our norms, the democratic.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows that she's inconsistent. It seems like grandma's base, but for the wrong reasons, you know what I mean? I mean, she's 100 years old. I'm not going to dunk on grandma over here, who has at least demonstrated more moral backbone than like 90% of liberal media.
Norms that we have always lived by.
Pull the bar back in.
Republican friends tell Levin to relax, that Trump will fix the border and juice the economy, that all will be fine. FDR was president when Levin got her first taste of politics. She's seen a lot. Trust instincts.
His willingness to go around the intent of our Constitution and the democracy that we live in scares me. His people that he's nominating now, they scare me. Is Elon Musk the shadow president, or is Vance really the vice president? Isn't that scary to have to ask that question? Have we ever had to ask that before?
Levin sees mass deportations as mean and harmful to the economy.
That's kind of crazy that she like literally saw the Bracero program. She saw internment camps for Japanese people. I mean, look, it's cool. Like, it's cool that she has this opinion, but it's low key like she kind of has seen it, you know, personally. She has a real personal experience. That's the last New Deal Democrat right there, dude.
Trump rewarding men accused of sexual misconduct, sees women's rights in retreat, sees her American dream, the idea you leave things better than you found them, at severe risk.
That's why I'm afraid. I'm not so afraid for me. I'm not going to be around probably to experience it. But I'm afraid for those I love, for those I don't love, those I know, those I don't know. It's all those people coming after me who might have to live under this.
This is Northampton County, Pennsylvania, a place that picks presidents.
Respect to her, by the way. I mean, respect to her. Actually, old people oftentimes demonstrate some of the worst selfish behavior, selfish tendencies I've ever seen when talking about the future prospects of this country. They vote without a care or consideration for the generation that comes after them. This grandma, on the other hand, very clearly does care, and she's right. And I respect her for not being like a regular old boomer.
The county has now backed the winner in 5 straight presidential elections, and in all but 3 over the past 100 years. Northampton's rural stretches are ruby red Trump country. Democratic hopes rest on the county's 2 urban anchors, Bethlehem and Easton.
Good deal of it goes to our food pantry.
Lifelong Easton resident Marvin Boyer is still shocked at the size of Trump's win, but not shocked he won.
There's any number of reasons why it went the way it did. The economy being one. I believe racism played a role in it, misogyny.
Plus, more black men voted for Trump this time.
Why would you vote for an individual who I think is a racist, who is a misogynist, who is with the January 6th situation? Why would you vote for a guy like that? Because he tells it like it is. And that resonates with me. It's one of the things that I hear from black men who support Trump. You know, can't have Thanksgiving without the turkey.
Boyer is a lifelong civil rights and community activist. These Thanksgiving meal bags filled in a room dedicated to his mother.
There's a hero, that's the one.
The Easton Community Garden, another way to lend a hand. Helping others helps Boyer channel his disappointment, and he urges angry Democrats to do the same.
Because I often run into people who complain a lot, and I'm a doer. And I say, be the change that you want to see in the community. Get involved in a local organization. Be more of an activist.
You're not going to believe this, ladies. Look at the jokers.
Darrell Ann Murphy is already doing
My freaking goats, dude. These guys are amazing. They're right.
just that.
Friends of mine have started groups. We're calling it the Quiet Resistance. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff and like everything's kind of falling down around me. It's falling down. What happened to the foundation? What happened? Will America fall down? I never had thought this. I never thought this. This is just a huge shock to seniors, John. Huge. Okay, now we're going to rack them and see what we got.
Murphy teaches the Chinese tile game Mahjong, our third time at the table over the past year. Third time Murphy and Catherine Long have sparred with Pam Aida.
I don't have to have dinner with Donald Trump. I don't care what he does. Just keep me safe, keep my grandkids safe, and have money in our pockets. That's all.
I'm scared to death of what he's going to do. And some of that comes from what's happening with his cabinet choices.
I think we have to just knock it off. He's president for 4 years. We'll have another election.
We hope.
And then,
I have fears that he won't leave.
Oh, come on. That's
I'm
ridiculous.
not kidding. I have fears that he won't leave.
A debate for the next 4 years.
If we're still here on this earth.
Yes, we might not even be here, John. You ever think of that?
I'm not going to allow myself to think about that.
Back to the game. Won on this day
Mahjong.
by the Trump supporter. John King, CNN, Palmer Township.
Why did they invite her? Brother, they probably have known each other for like 60 years. Who gives a fuck at that point? Do you guys not have any friends that you have been friends with for like more than 10 years? I mean, maybe some of you are too young for that, but like I have people that I've known that I love that I've been very close friends with for, more than a decade. Sometimes their opinion evolves over time. I cut them out of my life because they turn out to be assholes of the political shit. It's not good to abandon people that have different opinions than you in general, no matter how wrong, egregious, or even violent those opinions may be. Especially because like your goal should always be to take on emotional labor and try to change their minds anyway. Bad take, to be honest. Yeah, I know. Well, I'll do it. Everybody says law, that, but then why did you cut off Ethan? That's so good. You think I cut off Ethan? No, I didn't cut off Ethan. And I even said as far as like last week that I'd be down to have a moderated conversation as long as it was like a normal person moderating it, like Sam Cedar or some shit. Do you agree that some people can't be changed? I think everyone can be changed, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I understand that not everyone has the bandwidth to be able to do that. So I have endless amounts of grace for people that can do that. But if they can't do that, if they end up being unable to do that, that makes sense too. But you should try. You should always give a wholehearted effort, earnest effort.